In 1901, a crew of sponge divers pulled a lump of corroded bronze from a shipwreck at the bottom of the Aegean Sea. It was the size of a shoebox. Next to the marble statues and the bronze treasures hauled up beside it, nobody looked twice. It went into a drawer in a museum in Athens, and it was forgotten. Then it began to crack apart, and inside the stone-hard crust, something caught the light. A gearwheel, cut with teeth, machined, precise. The wreck was 2,000 years old, and precision gearing like this would not appear anywhere else on Earth for another 14 centuries. So either everything we believe about the ancient world is wrong, or this object should not exist. It does exist. It sits in Athens right now, more than 30 bronze gears, nested inside a wooden case, engraved with words that no one had read in 2,000 years. Someone built a machine in an age of sail and oil lamps, and then the knowledge of how to build it vanished. The men who found it were not looking for history. They were sponge divers. In October of 1900, a crew sailing home from the fishing grounds ran into a storm. They sheltered in the lee of a small barren island called Antikythera. To pass the time, the captain, Dimitrios Kondos, sent a diver down to look for sponges. The diver, Eli Astadiatis, went down through the blue to 150 feet. He surfaced minutes later, babbling. He spoke of rotting corpses and horses scattered across the seabed. Kondos thought the depth had poisoned the man's mind, so the captain went down himself, and he came back cradling the bronze arm of a statue. The corpses on the seabed were not bodies at all. Statues, bronze and marble, green with corrosion, broken across the floor of the sea after 20 centuries. The crew had stumbled onto a Roman shipwreck. It would prove to be one of the richest ancient wrecks ever found. But the cargo lay 150 feet down, and in 1901, the men raising it shared a single canvas suit and a copper helmet. Each dive lasted 10 minutes, twice a day. No one yet understood what that pressure did to a body. By the end of that summer, a diver named Yorgos Kritikos was dead of it. 2 more were left paralyzed. The salvage stopped there. What those men had paid for now filled a museum in Athens, statues of gods, athletes, glassware, coins. But the most important object the divers brought up from that wreck was the one that looked like a rock. The man who first understood it was a museum curator. His name was Valerios Stais. On the 17th of May, 1902, he was sorting the corroded fragments raised from the wreck, and he realized the gear was not alone. It was part of a machine, a mechanism of meshed bronze wheels, built to turn, to count, to model something in motion. Stais believed it charted the sky, an instrument of the heavens. And that was the problem, because nothing like it was supposed to exist. The Greeks of the ancient world gave us poetry, philosophy, temples, and ships. They did not build machines of precision gears. That kind of engineering belonged to a world more than 1,000 years beyond them. So the scholars of the day did what people do with a fact that will not fit. They doubted it. Some argued the gears were younger, that the device had dropped onto the wreck long after the ship went down. Others simply looked away, a curiosity, too strange to place. And there was a deeper trap. The mechanism was sealed inside its own ruin. 20 centuries underwater had fused the bronze into a single mass of stone. To see the gears within, you would have to break it open, and breaking it open would destroy the very thing you were trying to read. So it sat in its glass case in Athens, intact, unreadable. The most sophisticated machine of the ancient world was lying in plain sight, and no one alive knew how to look inside it. For half a century, no one could read it. Then, in the 1950s, a historian of science took an interest. His name was Derek de Solla Price. Price understood the trap perfectly. He could not open the device without destroying it, so he decided to look through it. In the early 1970s, working with a Greek physicist, Price tried something no one had attempted. He aimed radiation at the bronze. Gamma rays and X-rays passed through the corrosion and cast shadows of what lay inside onto film. For the first time, the hidden gears appeared, ghostly, overlapping, but real. Price counted their teeth from the shadows, one wheel at a time, and the numbers were not random. They matched the cycles of the sun and the moon. In 1974, he published his work. He called it Gears from the Greeks. It proved the gears were real, and Greek, and as old as the wreck itself. But a shadow is flat. The X-rays stacked every gear on top of the others, a tangle no one could fully separate. The true design stayed in dispute for 30 more years. To actually read the machine, they had to see it in 3 dimensions, without ever touching it. That moment came in 2005. An international team, led by the mathematician Tony Freeth, brought a new tool to Athens, an X-ray scanner so large it had to be shipped to the museum and rebuilt inside it. It fired X-rays in thousands of thin slices, rebuilding the bronze inside a computer. For the first time in 2,000 years, the machine was opened without a single crack, and what the scan showed, no one had predicted. Not a handful of gears, dozens, nested inside one another, in layers, like nothing else from the ancient world. And there was something no one had ever seen: writing. Thousands of tiny Greek letters, hidden beneath the corrosion. Engraved across the device, a set of instructions. The machine had come with words. That explained what it could do. Now they only had to read them. The words were the key. Hidden in the bronze were more than 3,000 Greek characters, not decoration, instructions, a manual, engraved onto the machine itself. And slowly, letter by letter, researchers pieced together what it was built to do. You turned a single handle on the side. That was all. One crank, and the whole device began to move. Pointers swept across dials on the front and the back, each tracking a different rhythm of the sky. Turn the handle forward, and you move time forward. The sun advanced through the constellations. The moon moved faster, showing its phase, with a tiny ball, half silver, half black. And it did something far stranger than tell the date. It predicted eclipses. A spiral dial on the back counted off the months and marked when a solar or lunar eclipse would fall. Greek astronomers called that rhythm the Saros cycle. Some markings even noted the hour of the eclipse and the color the moon would take. Decades into the future, read off a hand-cranked box of bronze. But the moon does not move at a steady pace. It speeds up and slows down. Predicting it should have been far beyond the ancient world. And yet, hidden in the gears, was the solution. 2 wheels, pinned slightly off-center, one driving the other, recreating that uneven motion. The inscriptions went further still. They described the planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, all the worlds the Greeks could see. The surviving gears do not show how every planet was driven. That part is reconstructed, not certain. But the words are clear. This was a model of the entire known cosmos: the sun, the moon, the planets, the calendar, the eclipses, even the cycle of the Olympic Games, all of it turning together in a box you could hold in your lap. It was not a clock. It was not a toy. It was a computer, built 2,000 years too early. And that left the hardest question of all. If a single workshop could build this, then who were they? And why did the world never build anything like it for another 14 centuries? So who built it? We do not know. No name survives, no workshop, no signature, nothing to tell us whose hands cut these gears. But there are clues hidden in the gears. The way the machine tracked the moon's uneven motion follows the work of the Greek astronomers of Rhodes, who mapped the heavens of the ancient world. And it was not the first of its kind. Centuries earlier, Roman writers described the inventor Archimedes building a model of the heavens that turned the sun, the moon, and the planets. Those machines were lost, every one of them, a whole tradition of building that disappeared from history. When that knowledge went, it did not fade slowly. It was simply gone, and nothing of its kind would appear again. For 1,400 years, we know this machine ever existed for one reason only. A ship sank, and it lay on the seabed for 2,000 years until a crew of divers found it by accident, sheltering from a storm. It is the only one. Nothing like it has ever been found again, which means the ancient world learned how to build this and then forgot. The Antikythera mechanism is not proof of how much they knew. It is proof of how much we lost.